like the Sinister Black kind of music. Okay, let me put something into perspective for you guys here. The title of this episode is Public Enemy, Mainstream Enemy, rather, number one. And that is what I'm going to be doing this fucking episode on, is being the enemy of the mainstream. Other than me blabbing about it, other than me talking the talk and walking the walk and being just another YouTuber or just another guy that's up there talking about it, it still needs to be spoken on at some point in time. Just like the previous episode before this where I was talking about Ozzy, that though although Ozzy was a mainstream artist and everything, everybody respects and honors and has reverence toward the Prince of Darkness. May he rest in peace. I don't know what could be more obvious about being the mainstream enemy. I think what it is right now. Here's what I have to start off. I'm going to start off by posing a theory really quick here, and that theory that I'm going to pose is that all of a sudden, out of nowhere, ever since COVID or something, amongst all the other cringe things that people do and say, one of the huge, most massively cringe things that's going on a massive scale, on a wide level of it all, is that people want their privacy now more. That's a given. That's totally a given. So in other words, if you're going to be somebody who's like me, mainstream enemy number one, and all that stuff, then you have to really fight and earn your spot. You have to fight for it and you have to earn it, because obviously this is what everybody wants right now. What everybody fucking wants is that. That's what people want. So if you truly have that and you truly are that and you truly possess those qualities, then at times like these when I have to speak on it, no problem at all. Hey, anytime that I need to check in just to make sure that I can remind myself what time it is, basically, is what I'm doing right now. I'm reminding myself not of the times or a sign of the times or any of that. I'm reminding myself what time it is, that this is who I am, this is how I have always been, and it has not changed. So, in other words, other than that, and having that just be good in and of itself, I'm ramble alert. I'm about to go off on a bit of a ramble. I'm probably going to start this one off a little bit heated, sort of. Maybe at least until I get my morning coffee or something. But it's another fucking episode of Vault of Doom podcast. I'm Mickey GemInEye. I'm ready to do stuff other than bite your head off, because I'm just going to have to kick this. I had to kick this one off and start it off like that. So now, what is the fucking problem with it then, of people like me who've always been like this and are very secure in themselves, very confident in themselves, and sort of have the epitome of mainstream enemy number one be what it is, that is to say that, like, I'm not normally wearing a Levi's t-shirt, but right now I'm wearing a Levi's t-shirt, and other than that, anything else that's also mainstream, it can basically go bye-bye. I'm not gonna put up with it. I'm not gonna fucking handle it. It's definitely a very serious lifestyle that has to carry with it very serious actions. And aside from all that, aside from sitting over here, this is the point that I'm trying to make, is that although I'm fine and secure in who I am and who I've always been, and other people like me also are, then what is being asked of us in this community, in the community of underground? What's being asked of us? What can we do for you? You know, basically, how can I help you with something right now? As in, I'm totally available to help out with certain things. You know, I'm possessing talents. I have talents and I have skills and things that I can help with. So that's one thing out of the way. The other thing is that, other than sitting here protecting it or acting like I'm going to run some kind of charity or something, or other than doing anything like that, there's other things that need to be done as well, other than protecting it. It doesn't need to be protected too much, but it is safe to say, and you're not paranoid for thinking that a lot of people might come after you for having that kind of privacy and for having that kind of, really, ultimately, let's just say it for what it is. Being in the underground means that you are in a position of dominance. That's all that it means. So let's say maybe just yesterday you fucking just woke up and started to try to get down with the get down, and you found fascination for underground stuff and independent stuff and all this other stuff. I mean, I'm sitting over here losing fucking sleep and losing hair over this shit every fucking day, wondering about what else that it is that I can do or how else that I can improve. It's not about that at all. It's simply about weeding out the people who don't belong there, and then leave it at that, because you gotta handle these things like a laundry list and like a list of check boxes, and just start checking all the boxes and start saying, okay, have I protected what needs to be protected in a way? Okay, now I can start weeding out the people who don't belong, and then I can say, okay, am I taking care of my own needs first? Well, then after that, then I can go and see how I can help other people. But there's, as much as I'm saying this, as true as this is what I'm saying, and as much as I'm saying this, there's still plenty of other people who have also been doing this their whole lives, and have been like this their whole lives, and aren't changing anytime soon, and they're also part of the same community, and they don't necessarily have to worry as much. So I guess all that is, if you had any questions, this isn't a classroom, and I'm not a teacher, and I'm not teaching anything, and I'm not going to tell you if you have any questions, just your hand raised in the back. I'm not going to ask you if you have any questions. It's just the answer to that potential question that's floating around is like, well, then they're pretty fortunate. Then I guess they're way more fortunate. Anyway, that's it for the first portion of it. I should definitely attempt to kind of piece together, after that shrapnel fucking flying all over the place here, to try to figure out what it is. Let me see if I can have some kind of concrete point. Is it an identity thing? You know, like that I have to ask myself now. I'm not necessarily going to answer anybody else's questions, but I'll answer my own questions, create my own questions. Things like, is this myself I'm speaking about? And it's yes, it's me that I'm talking about. I'm mainstream enemy number one. I'm the enemy of the mainstream. My point is easily recapitulated from being that I did not use AI to generate my topics. I created these myself. I have substance, and there's meaning behind what I'm saying, and it bespeaks the entirety of underground and being an enemy of the mainstream. So what is my point, and what am I trying to get at with I'm the enemy of the mainstream? With my I'm the enemy of it, I'm not just simply speaking of that I'm anti it, or I stand up against it, or I make it a point not to dress a certain way, or talk a certain way, or be seen around certain people, things like that. Me being the enemy of it is that every breath that I'm taking, and every operation that I ever undergo, and every single behavior that I do is in exact opposition to the mainstream, to where you can add everything else that you want after it. It's the entirety of it. Thus I have my own little throne to sit on. I have my own little cushion that I can sit on, where people who are in the same community, you belong to the same community as me, we're just on different levels of it, and that's where I need the comments to be looking. That's where I need you in the comments for. I need you in the comments for that reason. I need you in the comments and say something about what you're thinking about this in the comments, and I need you to let me know, because we're in the same community, and as all this stuff continues swirling around the way that it is, a lot of friendly fire going on these days. A lot of people tend to be not understanding that if you're in an underground community, that there can be tendency for a lot of friendly fire, and you just end up hurting your own friends or something like that. That's a motif I think a lot of other people could probably run with better than me. I don't particularly like to run with that specific kind of motif of friendly fire, but it is probably a popular motif. Someone else can run with that better than me. But what I'm trying to get at with it is that I feel that I'm not able to really actually technically analyze how fortunate or unfortunate that I am in that position. But it is subjectively that I will say I am very fortunate in that I have the creative outlets that I have, and build these things up. And then at the end of creation of a project, or finishing or publishing and promoting of a project, and all the different levels of it, the finishing, publishing, the promoting, at the end of it, I need to not be able to have to fucking ask somebody else, is there some way that I can help you with this? I need it to be where you're supposed to be finding me. And that's where we'll go right back around and around. I've created the centrifugal force of the conversation, and I'm going to keep running with it. So that's where the centrifugal force of it is, that it's very mainstream to promote your own stuff with money, where you're paying to buy these promotions, and you're buying followers, and you're doing all this other stuff, and you're paying to play, and you're dislocating all your stuff. You're kidding yourself. That's what you're doing. Kidding yourself. You don't need to be on Spotify crushed underneath all of the fucking people. You do, however, need to pay some money. It still does cost money, though. You still need to pay some money to go through alternate channels and different various channels of the whole thing, and I'm not going to be mentioning anything specific after that, as you need to come to me. But that's where I'm at with stuff, really, at this point. Like, I know what you need to do in order to be successful in this. I'm just as successful as I'm satisfied with, as I'm comfortable with at the moment. And then I have to deal with afterwards the after effect and the aftershock of, well, am I empathetically absorbing somebody else's inferiorities, or empathetically absorbing somebody else's inferiority complex, or things like that make them have to not know who to come to ask for help, or how to have them not know the nature of it. I mean, that's where the friendly fire, to me, is a motif someone else will run with. It, when it comes down to it, seems pretty obsolete to try to use that motif, because it's extremely obsolete in the sense that you could try to explain all day and night that how much foolishness that there is in certain channels and modes in your inception of the creative idea, the putting it down and the starting of the creation of it, and then the actual creation of it, before the finishing of it, and then the finishing of your project, and then the publishing of it, promoting of it. That in the process of all this, there needs to be proper end of the fucking story. There needs to be proper communication. There just needs to be that proper communication. No surprise fucking things popping up. No surprise fucking things popping up. Fucking putting a jackknife in the whole thing is able to survive amidst the proper communication, and that's where you can deal with everything else after. But I've already said that and put that out there. That's a massive fucking heavy load to take on, and it's really it's really all that is over there in that space. So that we're gonna come back over here now to this space and bring it back to, in the process of all this stuff, that maybe this thing feeds on it, and then trying to find, any kind of self-critical activity that would suffice as something that improves me personally. That's where you need spectators, you need speculations, you need followers, you need views. As in this example, that I have an audience, I just don't know who the fuck that any of them are. So having them be the spectators and observing the stuff, they can kind of watch the process slowly get to a point where my conversations and my podcasts now evolve from me kind of going off and literally flying off the handle and going crazy with it, to where now I'm a bit tame. To me, I would actually, with me being more tame and sort of holding back a little bit, I would lump that together side by side with having some of it deteriorate me or water down my quality of the stuff, which I personally, speaking on a personal level, trust fully in my own process. I don't have any doubts whatsoever, and that's where it just goes off the handle. Then that's where the creativity goes off the handle, and that's fine too. I have a perfect exemplary channel where that's supposed to go anyways as well for that. So there's not anything needed there either. So where do you find yourself then at that point? Then where do you find yourself? Come this far and walked into and stepped into and speaking into a place where I'm not just speaking gibberish. I require you to have to be interested in hearing this kind of stuff, perhaps, to where then where do you, to ultimately to get to the question where you can ask yourself, like, actually, where do I find myself then? And then the answer is truly chaotic. It's just, you find yourself in the midst of chaos then. So if that's not another prime example of being anti-mainstream, then I'll have to close up and finish up what I'm saying about it then, because that's just a prime example of what I mean by anti-mainstream, where mention AI, say AI, and just say AI, and then people love it, people hate it, and then here's an in-depth talk and discussion about it, and then, what is it actually there for? Honestly, it's there to help make life easier, or how that's how it's advertised right now. That's how it's being advertised right now. This will improve the ease of your workload. This will make your life easier. This is how it is being advertised at the time. But is it anti-mainstream or is it pro-mainstream? I think that it's a mainstream machine. So anybody like us and any of us in the underground anti-mainstream that have any place in it, we just wind up there randomly. We just wind up there on accident. There's no amount of people that don't, and then don't get weeded, and then don't get weeded out immediately afterwards, kind of thing. Like another thing just goes back to communication. So who knows whose communication I've interrupted or whose communication I've gotten in the way of from this broadcasting me this message, but that does sort of intuitively for me indicate, signify a little bit toward closing, drawing towards the end. So that would be where I would have to wrap up what I'm saying about mainstream. What else is mainstream other than this mainstream machine? Or how am I anti-mainstream? I mean, these are practical things that I could see myself potentially using AI for if I wasn't already doing it myself. And the difficulty level on this is extremely difficult. I don't know what it is. It's probably different for everybody. I also think that mine's just going to be like a free trial kind of thing, and it'll just fizzle out, fade out. Like whatever's causing me difficulties in writing my own questions for interviewers, for interviewees to interview people, and rewriting my own topics, and for me to be doing a lot of the stuff myself. I can feel it physically in my body. I can feel the weight, the massive weight, and then mentally as well, from like jamming me up and like stopping me from being able to kind of spread my wings and move forward a little bit. And it's just that it's there kind of thing. So I'm already just naturally, in survival instinct, maybe root chakra kind of thing, already anti it and against it, as it seems to be only for what you can look at what you can look at and clearly see right now. The amount of views attached to certain videos and the amount of followers attached to certain artists. It's nothing but a fucking help. It's helping nobody but the mainstream. And for that, fuck them. Fuck that. World's doomed.